Okay, welcome back, and thank you very much for staying with us and for joining us. If you've just arrived, my guest is Mr. Jide Ologun, political affairs analyst, and he's been quite forthright and indeed stern on the point of nothing is going to change apart from, unless we change the way our mentality in the country. Before I go further, let me bring in Prince Balogun in Akute, who has called in. Good morning, Prince.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Our big daddy.
Thank you very much for calling in.
Good morning to Pastor Jide Ologun too.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, yes. Actually, we pray to Almighty God to be bringing people like Pastor Ologun up to speak for us. Just like we have Pastor Jide Ologun too. Those are the people we appreciate in our, community. They give us hope, and and God will continue to, strengthen them. Yeah, the situation on ground now is very critical. Very, very critical. That it is only in Nigeria that they call Giant of Africa that the federal government cannot, hold the baton with strong faith and confidence to fish out. Sir, this is one of the major things, our president, used to campaign for us. Even with the VP, as a northerner, that they will get all these, terrorists. It's like they are going to punish them even for the first month of being in the office. What we are seeing now is terrible. Killing over, kidnapping, they even talking kidnapping in the presence of federal government to a normal business. This is unfair. This is unfair. Sir, I know how much I spent. See, I did not belong to any political party. Right from Jonathan time, I know how I would believe that, this man will help us. This is somebody I know the history. Thank God we are going into the right hand. At the end of the day, the thing will be like, we will start regretting. I have known a lot of people in the community now that have been pointing finger to me that yes, you campaign for him, you pretend something now. I did not collect kobo from neither APC or the Asiwaju team. I still have most of those something now. I convince people that this man did it in Lagos. He has everything. He's an economist. He's this, is that. So what are we seeing now? This cannot continue like this. It cannot continue. Barrister Ologun have just nailed the point on the head. Blankly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for calling in, Prince Balogun from Akute. Sort of reviewing, as it were, the recent elections, by-elections and rerun elections, where, from the Nigerian point of view, it sort of went, okay, especially when you look at the positive headline of APC sweeping the Southwest. There are other elections, there are other situations, other states where elections had to be sort of cancelled. We heard of robberies, missing ballot boxes. So it's a mixture, and all of this we were looking at. Was anybody really expecting anything to be much different? And that's where we began to talk about what do even the parties stand for. Do we expect that some of these people that are coming in selflessly and indeed will rock the boat in a positive way? Can you really look forward to that? Or, as Nigerians might be suspecting, they just have seen that, they have now joined the winning team. And the winning team, you made a distinction between self-interest and the advanced version of that being wickedness. Political, I don't know, wickedness is wickedness, meaning that wickedness is just doing harm to the people. Do you really think that anybody, to zero in on your word wickedness, do you think that anybody actually wants to cause harm to their fellow human being, their fellow compatriot, that would be wickedness. Can one go as far as that? Might one not be accused of emotionalism?
Emotionalism is part of human nature.
But emotionalism
let me ask,
is not always
let
fact.
me ask, so what is good in criminals going into a palace to kill a monarch and go away with the queen?
That's criminality.
I mean,
that's criminality.
What is good in some top-line investors, in quotes, constructing pipelines across the ocean to steal our crude oil? Crude oil, you see, Nigeria, by my own opinion, should be the third richest country in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Nigeria discovered crude oil in commercial quantity in 1956, joined the producers in 1958, commissioned the first refinery in 1965. You see, and today we are talking of poverty. And let me say this.
Wait, sorry, sir. All those statistics, they're factual, but you also must add that we have to accept Nigeria is not in the same league ideologically as what is the country of this gentleman, Lee Kuan Yew.
Lee Kuan Yew.
We're not ideologically speaking in that same generation.
Thank you for bringing that.
Yes, because that is a totally different ideology.
Fantastic.
A totally different race of people. But I don't want to keep Kolawole in Lagos, who are called in. So you come in after that. Good morning, Mr. Kolawole.
Good morning, Okuyori.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Please go ahead.
In 1974, I was a staff of Mobil Oil Producing.
Okay.
Mobil Oil Producing, I kept the record of unproductive crude oil well. I was in charge. That crude oil unproductive, I will send it to the federal government as a strategic reserve crude oil. When crude oil is produced into various components, 9 products will come out of it. Besides fuel, kerosene is 3 types that will come out of it. The one for aviation, the one for domestic use, and the one we use in our depot to clean oil grease spillage in our depot. That kerosene was the one they were siphoning out from years ago, that you have kerosene explosion. From crude oil, petroleum jelly, I've told you now, 9 products.
Yes.
From the real fuel. The government are not telling us the truth. But I know that our president will do well, because the man he has appointed now, Payo Sakire, was our director then. So NNPC will not take us back to the old age. All the lies they have been telling us, the man will point it out to them.
So,
and everything will be correct.
So you see hope. You see hope.
Yes, there is hope
in the gloomy horizon.
There is hope on that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kolawole, for calling in. I appreciate your call.
Is the best in the world. It doesn't have sulfur.
Okay. Yes.
US oil has sulfur.
Yes.
UK oil has sulfur. Before you refine it, you will remove all the sulfur. Nigeria oil, you will not remove any sulfur. Why are they not telling us the truth?
Okay.
Please let them tell the country the truth and let us.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. Kolawole in Lagos. I was saying that, well, Lee Kuan Yew, everybody knows, or if they care to find out, they can know that the attitude, the ideological attitude to politics over there is entirely different. Was it an overarching ambition to hope that we might begin to approximate something like that. By the way, we're talking, we're mentioning these things in the context of the recent by-elections and reruns that we had, and not giving very much cheer, really.
Okay, I give you 110% for prompting this Lee Kuan Yew. I've spoken about help, opportunities, power, and the E is excellence.
Okay, okay.
See, Singapore left Malaysia in 1965 with various challenges and little resources, but with vision, excellent vision.
And discipline.
Yeah, you see, discipline is what upholds your vision towards the destination, because vision is the destination you are aiming at. And the mission is, how do you get there? That is where ideology comes in. Do you know that Lee Kuan Yew came to Nigeria, visited some other leaders around the world, when he caught that vision of developing that little coastal region to an earthly paradise? But if you read From Third World to First World, written by Lee Kuan Yew, go and read that book. When he saw the leadership mindset in Nigeria, he just abandoned Nigeria. A minister was discussing how to use state resources, build his own personal business. And the man said, these people are not serious.
Exactly.
And he left. Today, Singapore is one of the best countries to live and to work in the world. As an HR practitioner, I study Singapore in how they are emerging in managing HR. You see, the man was pragmatic, zero tolerance, and I mean that, for corruption.
That is it.
He studied the successful template around the world and enhanced those templates.
I was able to inspire his people to follow him in this vision
you know what,
of zero tolerance.
In nations' wealth
that has been
management, nations' wealth management, you look at the wealth you have in terms of resources, no matter how little. You build it up to a wealth magnet by creating the infrastructure and the environment to attract the external wealth that we call foreign direct investment. And that's what he did. So the top brands are doing business effortlessly in Singapore. The same thing that Sheikh Zayed did in Dubai. Get to Dubai today, get to Abu Dhabi, look at the World Cup that Qatar hosted. They made profit from it. And let's come back to the corruption in Nigeria. You see, that there was a man called Joshua in the Bible.
Sorry, before you go further, just remember, that's a good point to take off when I come back to you, Joshua in the Bible, because this begins to remind me of what Mukhtar was saying. Mukhtar, who called in from Kano, he was saying that the place is in a mess and that there's insincerity all over the place. And we were speaking about Lee Kuan Yew over in Singapore and how he persuaded the people to follow and support him in his vision of zero tolerance for all the nonsense that kept Singapore where it was. Well, we would also like to have a zero tolerance here, but I think Mukhtar in Kano sort of indicated that we're not ready yet. And if we were, it would be different. But let me bring in Mr. George. Thank you for holding on all this while, Mr. George. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to Mr. Ologun.
Yes.
Uncle Yori, I took a look at the election results early this morning on the by-elections that took place on Saturday. And from all indications, the pattern of voting is the same with the one that was held in February last year.
Yes.
February and March. So I did not see any major upset anywhere. That brings me to the subject matter of one senator who came online recently and started that the Northerners are going to take a different voting pattern, threatening because their children, his own child and the child of the elite is being transferred from central bank in Abuja to Lagos, which not what is speaking for. We know, you and I know, Uncle Yori, that the Northerners vote on principles. In 1993, they voted for a Yoruba man against their own man. In 2023, they voted, their own son was on the ballot, and they voted for Asiwaju, who is a Yoruba man. These same Northerners, 14, you and I remember 14 governors from the North, were the ones who went to President Buhari and said, okay, you can't do this. This presidency must go back to the South. Just last year. So those few who were coming to the air to make noise, if you transfer my children to outside Abuja with break loose, they were just speaking for themselves and not for the North. That's just one point I want to make there.
Okay.
So the Speaker, Mr. Jide Ologun, should also please bear in mind that where there are major changes, there must be a fight back. And that there is only one thing at a time that can be done. Otherwise, if you push a people too much to the wall, there will be reaction.
What do you think then, Mr. George, since you brought that aspect up, yes. I understand. Maybe you need to take one thing at a time where there are too many problems on the ground. What would be your sort of stab at, Which one?
What I mean by that, Uncle Yori, is that I got the point that Mr. Ologun is making, that the president needs to go drastic about going after those who do wrong to the system. That is true. But you can't do 2-3 things at the same time.
Okay.
One thing, after that, you go to the next.
All right.
After that, you go to the next. I do not believe that the president is skipping in terms of security, addressing security, and addressing corruption. This is a man that we know for strategy. That media trial pattern of not investigating anybody before bringing him to the limelight, we can't follow the same pattern again.
All right then.
The only candid advice I want to give Mr. President is that if you remember, President Buhari did well in many things, but in this last year of administration, he allowed insecurity to overshadow the performance that he made. That should not be allowed to happen with people who do not mean well for our system. Like Mr. Ologun said, there are many people working for 24 hours to ensure that Nigeria does not work. Those are the people the president should be hard on in terms of reaction, and he should do it one by one. That's what I mean, Uncle Yos.
Thank you very much, Mr. George. Very interesting, summary of the situation. And Mr. George also he mentioned that, look, he looked at the results of the election, compared it with what happened in March, February, March, and no difference. And so that is where we actually started from. So there doesn't seem to be any difference really in terms of the outlook for the elections between then and now. So can we really expect that these people have caught a bug and have used the past few months to sort of inspire themselves that, there's going to be a need to rock the boat? But as Mr. George is saying that, well, all of that is as it is, but you can only do so much one at a time.
Fantastic. I was talking about Joshua. In Joshua chapter 6, the wall of Jericho was confronting him, and God taught him what to do. And God brought the wall down because he obeyed. And suddenly they went to battle and won, and somebody stole what should not be stolen. It wasn't Joshua that stole it. And if you read Joshua chapter 7, verse 25, Joshua had to call that man, Achan, that your family must be extinguished. That is the instruction of God, before we can begin to succeed again. And they did that. That is why you hardly find somebody naming his son Achan today. My advice is to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. My president, whom I respect, if you know the wicked one working against your government and you lead them walking freely, best wishes, sir. They are wicked. They will continue to be wicked. That is their blood. That is their oxygen. Let me come to national system.
Okay, briefly.
And I say this with all due respect. The UK frowns at modern slavery, organ harvesting and trading. And unfortunately, our honorable senator in Nigeria fell into that trap. And the UK investigated, prosecuted for about 6 weeks before he committed judiciary and jailed the stakeholders that were guilty. You see, in fact, our former president wrote a letter, sir.
I was going to say, do you recall that some Nigerian public figures actually appealed?
Because it's a matter of system versus system.
There's also the case of Better Edu in Nigeria. There are those who are actually saying that temper
if you
justice
have
mercy.
tolerance for corruption, corruption will destroy you. I agree with former President Muhammadu Buhari that said corruption fights back. Corruption fights back. If you must succeed, what the Lord Jesus Christ declared is that flee from every appearance of evil. Resist the devil. If Mr. President does not resist the illegal miners, the oil thieves, how can a whole accountant general of a federation steal billions of naira from the accounts? Now we are reading about Betty Edu. Maybe we'll be reading about a volleyball in the next 3 weeks, and that case is under the carpet. Who succeeds with that? If there are no consequences, you are grooming crime. And when crime becomes a giant, it becomes difficult to tame it. You elders said, and I believe it, that you only tame an Iroko tree when it is young. If it becomes old, you will have to pour libation and make different kinds of sacrifices. But in these days of technology, you can hire a submarine weapon to blow up the Iroko. So I wish my president and commander-in-chief, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the best in office. I believe in his abilities. But please, sir, as long as you give the wicked ones space, they will frustrate you. Okay. Did you not see when my president came to Lagos, citizens were being power,
Yes.
Those are bad omens.
We're gonna
so
have to
sir, I wish him the best.
But there's a lot of work to be done on the political sphere.
He is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. He has the resources of the nation. He's been entrusted. He told us we should not pity him.
Okay, we're going to have
the MD, he has the instrumentality of office.
So much is expected from the president.
Absolutely.
And people are expecting that he has the ability, and indeed they want to see the leadership that will lead towards this. You do well to remember that President Tinubu said that he is not to be pitied. He asked for this job, and so he should be held to the highest standards. That's our program today. We're going to have to leave it there for Nigeria. For now, the topic of Nigeria is an inexhaustible one. Inevitably, we'll be back tomorrow, and from there on, continue with this conversation. Thank you very much for being with us. My name is Yori Folari. Bye-bye for now.